What is a product without its target audience? All products are tied to a target audience and over time improved or expanded on. Hi everyone, welcome to 10 Minutes of Design with Chinedu Unfiltered. Here, we'll be talking about UX design, product strategy, products people use and how they make them feel, the latest technologies and how it is used by UX designers. All this from a professional, data-driven and personal view, which is undiluted. Yee! I'm not sure why I'm sounding like that, but I want to say a very big welcome to everyone into the year 2024. And I want to say Happy New Year also. And also, I want to appreciate um, everyone who has been listening to me since I started, my podcast. It's been encouraging and it's been motivating also. The more people listen, the more I tend to, be motivated to speak more about products, digital products, and people basically. I want to appreciate those from Nigeria, which is my home country. I want to appreciate those from United States, those from India, Jamaica, Guatemala, and Mexico who has been listening to me all this while. I want to say a very big thank you. Don't stop listening, keep listening. I have a lot to share and I'll be sharing them. So in today's episode, I'll be talking about user personnel. User personnel, that stuff we create as product designers where we paste an image of a person, an headshot of a person. We sort of like define who the person is, create their bio, what they like, what they don't like, their discomfort, their comfort, the social media they use to access the internet mostly, right? Their hobbies, right? Those are the things we see in user personnel. And today we'll be talking about the essential purpose of user personnel, why designing digital products, and is it actually needed? So, a few months ago, I was in a group chat where this conversation surfaced. It was interesting and intriguing to see the takes from most of the people who contributed. Because honestly, I was well schooled on the topic of user personnel. I thought I knew everything about user personnel, but I learned a lot in that conversation. Most times, the conversation is geared towards the fast paced development process, while other times it is geared towards the fact that it helps in creating outstanding digital products. So, what essentially is the real reason why people have different opinions when it comes to user personnel? I would like to share some assumptions before I continue. Now, is it the way boot camps now teach product design? Is it the lack of deep knowledge about the subject matter? Is it the framework that has been adopted? Is it evolution? Or are people just teaching what they have been taught by someone who doesn't really understand the core fundamentals of product design? Personally, I have always understood or known the reason for creating a user persona, but I honestly had no idea that a lot of designers think it is not required, or rather, that it is irrelevant. And neither is it helpful when designing a digital product. It was a weird experience, but some of them gave a valid reason as to why they thought so. And believe me, those reasons were pretty convincing because I was nodding to most of the argument, but at the end of the day, there's always that particular information that actually makes more sense, or a mix of different ideas that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about this two school of thought and what they think about user personnel and its usefulness. The first school of thought believe it is not required and that there is no space for it anywhere in product design, while the second school of thought believe that it is very much required. While everyone's opinion is valid at this point, let me explain what user personas are and its uses. From this definition and breakdown, we can then understand why it is required or why it isn't. So, what is a user persona? According to maze.co, user persona is a profile that represents a subgroup of a target audience. User personas are based on real life data and reflect the wants and the needs of the target audience. Let me break this definition piece by piece. One important piece of information that was communicated was that it is a profile. And what does a profile do? It contains the necessary information relevant to understanding a person or a group of persons. Another important piece of information we can deduce from the definition is that it is based on real life data. This is to show how important and relevant it is to your product. A user persona isn't created from thin air, it is a result of your findings from your research. Another important piece of information that was communicated was that it reflects wants and needs. This is to show the usefulness to the users you are designing for. It tells you in good details what to design for and how to go about it. Then the final nail to the coffin is that target audience was repeated twice. What is a product without its target audience? What products are tied to a target audience and over time improved or expanded on based on the business requirements? But then, how do we begin to understand the importance of user persona in the grand scheme of things? The word empathy brings it into perspective. This buzzword has been made popular in the design industry and has been the bedrock of designing any product that is user centered. To design for a specific type of user, the designer needs to step into the shoes of the users and understand their frustrations, goals, and desires. You see, that is not just about building a profile of a person, it is about building something that people want and would eventually use. My second year as a product designer, this was in 2022, I think. I participated in a project that required that we design a product for others. Others are those who are incapable of letting material items go easily, even when they don't use them anymore. And in everyone, there's a little other. The problem statement was centered around the ability for others to engage, give, sell, or exchange their items with everyday people willing to do the same. What we only did on that project was get insight, but never broke down the insight in order to create a proper user persona. We couldn't understand what the users might need or might not, so we went with a military approach by creating a wireframe, low fidelity, and high fidelity design for both the mobile app and the web pages. There wasn't a chance to empathize with the users, and there were a lot of things we couldn't factor. You see, we didn't have a demographic to work with, we didn't have a profile to work with, we didn't understand the desires of our potential users, we didn't understand the goals of our potential users, we didn't understand the type of operating system our users prefer to use, we didn't understand the channels our potential users access the internet from. We didn't understand a lot of things about what we were doing. We were mostly focused on the UI without understanding a fraction of what we were designing for. There were a lot of things we didn't understand. We didn't know the items the others would mostly hold and how we could actually expand on such an insight. The project eventually flopped and couldn't make it to market. The lesson I learned working on this holding project was that regardless of how small a project may seem, it is vital in every sense to understand what the problem you're working on, the target audience involved, and to design a product that matters. So here's the big question you have been waiting for. What is the need of a user persona? Think of it as tailoring a suit. One size doesn't fit all, right? For instance, if you have a gaming app, the experience for a casual gamer would differ from that of a hardcore gamer. User personas help us make those distinctions and make sense of things. It's not just about users, it's about aligning with business goals too. How do these personas bridge that gap? User personas ensures we are not just designing for the sake of it. They align our design decisions with both user expectations and the broader business objectives. So, where does user persona come into play? At every step, from ideation to prototyping, personas guide decisions. They're like our North Star, helping us to stay on course. Now, let's get through. These are some of the challenges designers face with user personas and how they can overcome them. One challenge in creating accurate persona is the inability of designers to follow through with their research. You see, research is key in designing an intuitive digital product. And of course, keeping personas updated is relevant since they are not meant to be static. They should evolve with user behavior and market changes. So, what do we need to understand as designers about user persona? They are the compass that keeps us headed in the right direction. Without them, we are navigating blind. User personas ensure our designs are not just visually appealing, but genuinely meet the needs of our users. With these examples and reasons mentioned in today's podcast, you should be able to understand the importance of user persona and why it is needed in your design process. I hope this has been helpful to you. Kindly tune into my next episode. Till next time, signing out, Chinedu.